Come on, come in. Welcome, welcome.
Oh, why is it so dark? What a way to start. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's World Cup mode, so we got to chat about the World Cup for just a little bit before we get to the Hobbit. One second, I gotta shut my window. There's like music blasting. My neighbors are just blasting a little music. Man, that was the best game that the U.S. men's national team has ever played. At least the best first half. Oh, it was just glorious. I've been a U.S. men's national team fan for 2 decades. Oh, and that was, I mean, it was Paraguay. They're still a quality side. They're not incredible. But man, that was just excellent. Excellent to watch. I was so happy. What's up, everyone? Yeah, beating Australia is doable. Turkey. How do we say Turkey now? What is a correct way to say that country? Didn't they submit something to the UN that they want to be known as Turkey? Same thing. Czechia is no longer Czechoslovakia. They were never They were Czechoslovakia. What were they? What were they in between that? Czech Republic. Now they're Czechia. Crazy. Nemo. That's all right. Kendrick, what's up? Wait, you can't hear the music. Okay, that's good. It's not that loud. It's just like faint, but my neighbors are just playing it. I want to be non-distracted. Yeah, I mean, they did play. Paraguay played a little bit better in the second half, but still, the U.S. played great. Yeah, anybody going to a game? I was trying. I have some friends who are going to a game today at the New York, New Jersey Stadium. It's called. It's really MetLife Stadium. Sorry, this literally has been going on for 5 minutes, so maybe less. So you're good. I've been chatting for about 2 minutes. Sarah, tough South Africa loss. Are you West Africa though? East Africa? I always forget exactly where you are. You're not South Africa, are you? Yeah. Is it Turkey? Turkey? It's Czechia now. West Africa. That's right. Okay. What West African teams are in there? Cote d'Ivoire. They're playing. Congo's kind of West Africa. Not really on the. It is West Africa. Not really. Congo made it for the first time in decades since they were Zaire. And Senegal is a good team to root for. Senegal is a very good team to root for. They're honestly one of the dark horses of the tournament this year. Yeah, Central. Yeah, it's a little more Central. But the Congo has a great fan base. They have one player they have one fan who stands and salutes. Wes, what was that? You alright, buddy? What happened? You just freaked out. Come here. That's just a little freak out there. Yeah, they have the fan that stands and salutes the entire game. It's so great. Oh, man, Italy has had a hard go at it for the last 3 years. How do they keep missing the World Cup? It's a tragedy. And how did they miss this World Cup? This World Cup was hard to miss. I guess it's still a little bit difficult for Euro qualification. If they keep the expanded format, which I don't think they should keep the expanded format, I would be shocked if the US ever doesn't make it again. Like, they should always make it after this. It's always tricky for Euro teams to qualify though. And African teams, it's still kind of tricky for AFCON. But yeah, I have some friends going to the Brazil Morocco game today. Tickets are just too expensive. I can't do it. But that Brazil-Morocco game is going to be a heater. It's going to be a great game. It might be one of the best games of the first rounds. Ooh, saving money for the Olympics. I love that. I feel like the Olympics tickets are going to be much cheaper too. I feel like World Cup tickets are very expensive. I feel like Olympic tickets aren't that crazy expensive. Like you could go to like I mean maybe like track and field tickets would be expensive or like swimming would be expensive. But I feel like you could go to a like archery event. Ooh, Wes just farted. That is rank. Whew. Yeah, it depends on the event. I feel like you can go to like archery and get in for like $10. You know? Yeah, France Senegal is gonna be a great one. England Croatia. Yeah, Croatia. They're a little bit down this year. Croatia. They're like past their golden generation. But I hope that's gonna be a good one. I think the France Senegal game is gonna be another really good one. I'm excited for that one. Man, Wes, that just stinks, buddy. It's just lingering. Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. I know Modric. Luka Modric is one of my favorite players of all time. Though he's just so good. Yeah, I should have got a fan or air freshener. Yeah, this isn't a Sunday stream, so we're probably gonna have fewer people, but it's all right. I feel like Sunday streams, everyone just gets into the rhythm of a Sunday stream. Saturday afternoons, everyone's doing stuff on a Saturday afternoon. Except for me. I'm gonna watch soccer. This chapter is queer lodgings too. It's a long one, so I'm pretty excited for it. It's like it might be one of the longer ones in the book. None of the chapters are really, really long. Jacob, Chada, what's up? Hello, hello. Last World Cup when it was during winter, put the games on your classroom. It was so fun. Oh, that's the best. Honestly, I have such fun World Cup memories. I was talking to people yesterday. Like I would go to like soccer tournaments in the summer, and then we would have breaks to go watch like World Cup games. I still remember the U.S. played Germany in a knockout round. Oh man, that was a game. It was a round of 16, and we had a break in the soccer camp because we were watching the game, and it was we almost won. It was a great game. I still remember there was one play where we took a shot in the side net, and then it hit the side netting, and it looked like it went in, and everyone went crazy, and then we realized, oh no, it didn't go in. I still remember watching that game. I think I was like 8 or something like that. It was great. Why are 22 people running after just one ball? Can't they buy their own? Ooh, you have a good theory about Gandalf in this chapter. Excellent. Love that. This is a chapter with some strange places. They stay overnight. Quite queer. Yes, I'm glad you caught it. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, US made Paraguay. Paraguay's a good team too, which is crazy. Like they beat Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay in qualifications. So they're good. They're inconsistent in qualifications, but they beat good teams. And then that was the best that we've ever played. I'm convinced of it. I've watched almost every single US men's national team game for the last like decade, and that was easily the best first half that we've ever had. Oh, great. Oh, you noticed something about this chapter. Good. I'm excited. Let's notice together. I sharpen my pencils too. I'm very excited about that. Although I need a better pencil sharpener. Maybe I need to start a fund for a better pencil sharpener. Because the pencil sharpener that I have is like a shop pencil sharpener. And it's supposed to sharpen carpenter pencils. So it doesn't do a great job on these. But it's alright. Yeah, Paraguay did get rough. They got a bunch of yellows. I've never seen a call that was mistaken identity before. I was watching in a bar in New York City, and it was too loud, so I couldn't hear what was going on with the announcers, and I did not know what a mistaken identity call was. But it made sense. They gave someone a yellow, reviewed it. Mistaken identity. They gave the other guy a yellow for diving. Johannes, yes, you made it. We kind of just started. We're gonna start reading in a few minutes because this is a longer chapter, so we'll just start reading and getting into it. Welcome, welcome. We're just talking about the World Cup. It definitely was the right call. Player dove, and I love that they do that in the World Cup now. They need to review plays. Like I wish they would implement that in basketball. Just do like diving plays. Also, I don't want to talk about the NBA Finals. It's been a rough few days. The NBA Finals. I'm a Spurs fan. No, Paul, don't say that. No, don't say that. I am right outside of New York City. I was a Nets fan growing up, but mainly a Spurs fan. And like the Knicks have been doing good, so like everyone's like a Knicks fan now. But gosh, Knicks fans are brutal right now. They are just brutal. They're not great. Not great fans. Audrey, that was one of the most depressing games I've ever seen. This is gonna sound like an over exaggeration. It was top 5. No, I can't say that. It was the worst sports moment of maybe my life. Oh, it was just brutal. It was one of the most heartbreaking games that I've ever seen in my life. To the point where like I just felt bad for them. Oh, it was like it's awful. You have a theory that melodramatic flopping is the reason why? Ooh, we just got darker. I'm behind a cloud. Melodramatic flopping is the reason why soccer is more popular in the U.S. Okay, Alistair, I agree, but I also disagree with you because basketball is the second most popular sport. Is basketball more popular than baseball now? What is the popularity rankings in sports in the U.S. of A? I think baseball has gone down in popularity, but it's rising again. I think it's probably football, baseball, basketball, hockey, and soccer are maybe tied. But there is so much flopping that happens in basketball, and it's so popular, and it is plaguing the sport. So I don't think Americans care that much about it. We hate it. Like if you ask any American in sports, they hate players that flop. But 2004 World Cup series. You had Game 5 tickets and they lost in 4. Ooh, dang. What was that series? Baseball is back to number 2. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if baseball is back to number 2. I feel like baseball is getting more popular. Although there's other sports that are getting more and more popular. Baseball is second to everything. Yeah, basketball flopping is the data that disproved your theory. Honestly, it is a good theory though. I actually am with you on that. Americans do not like flopping. Like there was something ingrained in me playing as an American when I played soccer that you don't flop. And floppers, like you get hit hard and you just hit harder. Like I get trained if you hit hard, if you hit first, it doesn't hurt, which is ridiculous. Baseball is not the best. Baseball is a fun sport to go to. I struggle watching baseball. I know you're a huge baseball fan. Go Dodgers. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Audrey. I would never say that in front of you. I'm not a Dodgers fan. Go Giants. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. um, I think cycling is legitimately the second most popular sport in the world as far as viewers wise. I think the Tour de France gets more viewers than maybe any other sport except other than the World Cup and maybe like the Champions League final. I think the Tour de France gets an insane amount of viewers. Why baseball has an organ song? That is a great question. There's probably a YouTube video that goes into the history of that. If there isn't, that would actually be a phenomenal video. Oh, that would be a video essay that I would love. The history of the organ. Hold on, we need to look this up because if there isn't, I'm not going to make one because I don't want to necessarily research the history of the organ for baseball games. Let's look this up. Why is the organ popular at baseball games? Because you only hear the organ in three things. Yeah, there's a video, 10K views about 3 years ago. There's a few videos. Surprising reason baseball games feature organ. That is so strange because you only hear the organ in Hans Zimmer scores, baseball, and in church, in old church. Nemo, I like all your sports knowledge is from old literature. Baseball is a good sport to listen to. I think soccer is the best to listen to. I would probably start with soccer being the best to listen to. The Tour de France is a fun sport to watch, and honestly, whatever sport that you're into, sometimes like I used to be into cycling. I haven't been in cycling in a while, and it's such a fun sport to watch. There's such drama. Yeah, you can listen to it, but I don't know of any other times that the organ is constantly played. Those are the only 3 instances that I really know of. Hmm. That's true. Hockey has organs. Yeah, it's all right. We're gonna get back to read. We're gonna read in a second. It's a long chapter, so we'll probably start in a minute or so. Yeah, hockey has organs too. It's interesting. Why are there organs in sports? It'd be an interesting video essay. You ride horses jumping over things. That's kind of sick though. That's cool. I think soccer is good enough to listen to. Nah, it's too not good enough compared to watching. Well, I mean, if we're comparing like baseball is good to listen to. Sometimes it's good. It's like equal. You can listen to it and you can watch it and it's equal. Soccer is better to watch, but the commentators are also very great. So listening to it is good. I actually hate listening to basketball. Like I struggle listening to basketball on the radio. Same thing. Football is pretty boring to listen to on the radio, I think. Yeah, queer lodgings in Pride Month. I did not plan that, but it worked out. Tour de France came through your town once. That's actually kind of cool. And it's crazy that people line up on the street for hours to watch their cars go by or to watch these bikes go by in maybe like 10 seconds. It's crazy. It actually blows my mind that people do that. It'd be fun to go to a world or a Tour de France outing. Wow, Wes has some gas right now. That stinks. Also, my voice is a little raspy from watching the World Cup yesterday. So if I speak with a little extra rasp, maybe that's like cool. Maybe people like that better. I might need some water in a second though. All right, you guys ready to read? We're gonna get reading. Yeah, everyone liked the stream. Oh, I totally forgot about that. Thanks. Thanks, Attila. Like the stream, everyone. Only 27 people like the stream out of the 82 people here. Come on. Insulted. I like the stream, or Wes is just gonna keep gassing me out. Oh, you're so cute, buddy. You just stretched. You just had a big stretch. All right, let's get reading. Let's read Queer Lodgings. I think this is the Bayern chapter. I mean, I took that as a thumbnail because it's Queer Lodgings. I just looked up Queer Lodgings and it has the Bayern chapter. I'm guessing they stay in Bayron's place. Don't really know anything about this chapter. So let's get reading. I don't know what Wes ate. Wes does have Giardia though, which is not fun. But he's doing okay. I just tested, gave some TMI, I just gave a fecal sample to my vet again so they could test to see if he still has it. But he's doing all right. Wes has been through a lot this last month. But he's the best. He's the best. Marblecat, it is a perfect time for joining. We literally are just about to start reading. I feel like there's people who pop in and out and they're like, will John just stop talking and just get to reading already? And then they just keep popping in and out, and then finally. All right, I don't think we're going to be able to finish this before the next World Cup game. Maybe. By 3? Maybe we will. You never know. All right, let's get reading. This is chapter 7 of The Hobbit. Queer Lodgings. The next morning, Bilbo woke up with the early sun on his eyes. He jumped up to look at the time and to go and put his kettle on. And he found he was not home at all. So he sat down and wished in vain for a wash and a brush. He did not get either, nor tea, nor toast, nor bacon for his breakfast, only cold mutton and rabbit. And after that, he had to get ready for a fresh start. Aren't they up in the Eagle Eyries? How'd they have the food? This time he was allowed to climb onto an eagle's back and cling between his wings. The air rushed over him and he shut his eyes. The doors were crying farewells, and promising to repay the Lord of the Eagles, if ever they could, as off rose 15 great birds from the mountain's side. Okay, why did the eagles fetch them food? Yeah, it's true. That's eagle food right there. Why did the eagles let them ride on their backs? Why this instance? And it feels like they feel like they're massively in debt for the eagles. I wonder if they're ever going to pay that off. Well, I watched a game together. That'd actually be kind of fun. Maybe. I don't know if I could do it today, but maybe we'll do one. He owed Gandalf. Gandalf healed him? Did I miss that? The sun was still close to the eastern edge of things. The morning was cool, and the mists were in the valleys and hollows, and twinned here and there about the peaks and pinnacles of the hills. Bilbo opened an eye to peep, and saw that the birds were already high up, and the world was far away, and the mountains were falling back behind them into the distance. He shut his eyes again, and held on tighter. Don't pinch, said his eagle. You need not be frightened like a rabbit, even if you look rather like one. It is a fair morning with little wind. What is finer than flying? Bilbo would have liked to say a warm bath and a late breakfast on the lawn afterward. But he thought better of it. But he thought it better to say nothing at all and to let go his clutch just a tiny bit. After a good while, the eagles must have seen the point they were making for, even from their great height, for they began to go down, circling round in great spirals. They did this for a long while, and at last the hobbit opened his eyes again, and earth was much near. And below them were trees that looked like oaks and elms and wide grasslands, and a river running through it all. But cropping out of the ground, right in the path of the stream, which looped itself about it, was a great rock, almost a hill of stone, like a last outpost of the distant mountains, or a huge piece cast miles into the plain by some giant among giants. Quickly now to the top of this rock, the eagles swooped one by one and set down their passengers. Farewell, they cried. Whatever you fare, till your eyries receive you at the journey's end. This is a polite thing to say among the eagles. Wait, whatever you fare, till your eyries receive you at the journey's end. Should we change the ending of any of the video to all the videos to this? And whatever you fare till your Eries receive you at the end of your journey's end. Kind of has a ring to it. Bilbo watching the last chopper to Nom. Yeah, they're on the same team, but still, Eagles are interesting. Eagles are interesting people. Greed, creature. May the wind under your wings bear you where the sun sails and the moon walks, answered Gandalf, who knew the correct reply. That actually sounds like it'd be the good ending. May the wind under your wings bear you where the sun sails and the moon walks, answered Gandalf. Kind of fits. And so they parted. And though the Lord of the Eagles became in after days the king of all birds and wore a golden crown, and his 15 chieftains golden collars, made of the gold that the dwarves gave them. Wow, Bilbo never saw them again, except high and far off in the Battle of the Five Armies. But as that comes at the end of this tale, we will say no more about it just now. Interesting. It's interesting that they would wear jewelry. And so they parted, and though the Lord of the Eagles became in after days the king of all birds. The king of all birds? Why was he not the king of all birds before this? Is there another rival eagle gang? Are the fell beasts going on? And wore a golden crown. And his 15 chieftains golden collars. Interesting. This is spoiler territory? Okay, interesting. There was a flat space on the top of the stone, or on the top of the hill of stone, and a well-worn path with many steps leading down to the river, across which a ford of huge flat stones led to the grassland beyond the stream. There was a little cave, and a wholesome one with a pebbly floor. At the foot of the steps, and near the end of the stony ford, here the party gathered and discussed what was to be done. I always meant to see you all safe, if possible, over the mountains, said the wizard, and now by good management and good luck I have done it. Indeed, we are now a good deal further east than I ever meant to come with you. For after all, this is not my adventure. I may look in on it again before it is all over. But in the meanwhile, I have some other pressing business to attend to. What? Gandalf, you can't do this. What is his pressing business that he's attending to? The dwarves groaned and looked most distressed, and Bilbo wept. I had begun to think Gandalf was going to come all the way, and would be there to help them out of difficulties. I am not going to disappear this very instant, said he. I can give you a day or two more. Probably I can help you out of the present plight. And I need a little help myself. We have no food and no baggage, and no ponies to ride. And you don't know where you are. Now I can tell you that. You are still some miles north of the path which we should be following, if we had not left the mountain pass in a hurry. Very few people live in these parts, unless they have come here since I was last down this way, which is some years ago. But there is somebody that I know of, who lives not far away. That somebody makes the steps on the great rock. The Carrick, I believe he calls it. Or that somebody made the steps on the great rock. The Carrick, I believe he calls it. He does not come here often, certainly not in the daytime, and it is no good waiting for him. In fact, it would be very dangerous. We must go and find him. And if all goes well at our meeting, I think we shall be off, and wish you like the eagles farewell, wherever you fare. I think I shall be off, and wish you like the eagles farewell, wherever you fare. Okay, sorry. They begged him not to leave them. They offered him dragon gold and silver and jewels, but he would not change his mind. Interesting that they're offering him more. We shall see, he said. And I think I have already earned some of your dragon gold when you have got it. After that, they stopped pleading. Then they took off their clothes and bathed in the river, which is shallow and clear and stony at the ford. When they had dried in the sun, which is now strong and warm, they were refreshed, if still sore and a little hungry. Soon they crossed the ford, carrying the Hobbit, and then began to march along the long green grass and down the lines of the wide armored oaks and the tall elms. Let me look up a map real quick because I want to know where we are. Map of Middle Earth. So in between the Misty Mountains and Mirkwood, the Carrick, there it is. Eagles Eyrie. Okay, so they just crossed the Anduin. Is that the river they just crossed, or was this a smaller river? Gandalf's going out to pick up milk and cigarettes. Yeah, you didn't miss much. Whoever just joined. Ooh, there's some stuff in Discord. Let me check. A Carrick? Yeah, tell me what a Carrick is. 1 second. Let me open Discord. Ah, there we go. Is that Carrick the little island between the river, or in the middle of the river? Oh, dang, that's actually beautiful. Yeah, that is. That's cool, that Carrick. Also, is Middle Earth having a drought right now? Why is the Anduin lower than what they normally think? Nerding over a map is 100% sanctioned by the Cartographic Guild. Wait, the appendices told me where Gandalf went during that time? There's no appendices of the Hobbit, though, is there? Okay, a little inlet. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, for the further north, that's true. That's a good point. Karak? Is it Karak? Carrick? Carrick? Okay, I'll say Carrick. All right, let's keep reading. Let's keep reading. And why is it called the Carrick? Asked Bilbo as he went along at the wizard's side. He called it the Carrick because Carrick is his word for it. He calls things like that Carricks, and this one is the Carrick because it is the only one near his home and he knows it well. Who calls it? Who knows it? The somebody I spoke of, a very great person. You must all be very polite when I introduce you. I shall introduce you slowly, 2 by 2, I think. And you must be careful not to annoy him, or heaven knows what will happen. He can be appalling when he is angry, though he is kind enough if humored. Still, I warn you, if he gets angry, he gets angry easily. The dwarves all gathered around when they heard the wizard talking like this to Bilbo. Is that the person you were talking? You were taking us to now? They asked. Couldn't you find someone more easy-tempered? Hadn't you better explain it all a bit clearer? And so on. Yet it certainly is. No, I could not. And I was explaining very carefully, answered the wizard crossly. If you must know more, his name is Beorn. He is very strong. And he is a skin changer. Okay, I have lots of questions about skin changers in Lord of the Rings now after we meet Beorn. What? Give me a little history on skin changers. Weird. Okay, you guys have those questions too? It just is so bizarre. A druid in D&D? But I don't know what a druid in D&D is. What? A furrier. A man that calls rabbits conies when he doesn't turn their skins into squirrels, asked Bilbo. A furrier, a man that calls rabbits conies when he doesn't turn their skins into squirrels? Good gracious heavens. No, 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 said Gandalf. Don't be a fool, Mr. Baggins, if you can help it. And in the name of all wonder, don't mention the word furrier again as long as you're within 100 miles of his house, or nor rug, cape, tippet, muff, nor any other such unfortunate word. He is a skin changer. He changes his skin. Sometimes he is a huge black bear. Sometimes he is a great, strong, black-haired man with huge arms and a great beard. I cannot tell you much more, though that ought to be enough. What the? Some say that he is a bear descended from the great and ancient bears of the mountains that lived there before the giants came. Others say that he is a man descended from the first men who lived before Smaug, or the other dragons came into this part of the world, and before the goblins came into the hills out of the north. I cannot say. Though I fancy the last is the true tale. He is not the sort of person to ask questions. Is Gandalf saying these things because he doesn't know genuinely himself, or that he does, but he's just not at liberty to say? Like, he may not say. Did Tolkien use I cannot say purposefully to show me that he actually doesn't know? Yeah, don't be a fool if you can help it. He has guesses that are usually right. Yeah, that feels right. Yeah, cannot, not may not. And this is like the joke that every teacher is going, oh, he said cannot, not may. Yeah, he probably has good guesses on like where this dude comes from. I might try to come up with some guesses too. Honestly, the thing that I feel like the thing that's the closest to what he is right now is an Ent. I mean, he's not an Ent, clearly. But is there any other creature that's quite like a skin changer, like a Beorn, other than an Ent? Like, what's that? I was thinking an Ent or a Wos. Like, like Gonbury Gone, kind of. Like Gonbury Gone, if Gonbury Gone lived another hundreds of years and like discovered more powers. Like, is this almost like that the version of like Gonbury Gone in final form? Someone who is so in tune with nature that they can actually change their form. Beorn himself died between Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. That's sad. But he has a son. I feel like I remember reading that. Was Grimborn, was he in the appendices, or was he actually in the Lord of the Rings? Was his name mentioned in Lord of the Rings? Ooh, 80 years between the books. But if he's like he's almost like he's got to be so old. 80 years to him is probably like a few years. So he's just old right now. Hmm. Yeah, that's right. Gimli mentions him. Yeah, Grimborn is a sweet name. Anybody name their child Grimborn? Grimborn is one of the coolest names. Is it Grimbeorn? Grimbeorn? Grimbeorn. Or Grimborn. Grimborn and Grimbeorn are two pretty sweet names. All right, let's keep reading. At any rate, he is under no enchantment but his own. Oh, okay, that sentence is interesting. He's under no enchantment but his own. So he puts himself kind of under this enchantment. So he enchants himself. He lives in an oak. He lives in an oak wood and has a great wooden house. And as a man, he keeps cattle and horses which are nearly as marvelous as himself. They work for him and talk to him. He does not eat them. Neither does he hunt or eat wild animals. He keeps hives and hives of great fierce bees, and lives most on cream and honey. As a bear, he ranges far and wide. I once saw him sitting all alone in the top of the Carrick at night, watching the moon sink toward the misty mountains, and I heard him growl in the tongue of bears. The day will come when they will perish, and I shall go back. That is why I believe he once came from the mountains himself. The day will come when they will perish, and I shall go back? What? So, okay, yeah, so referring to the goblins, I feel like I got that. But I can go back? Is his home not where he's currently at? Huh. So he can go back to the mountains. Interesting. And these are the Misty Mountains, no? So did he live in the Misty Mountains? Is he a dwarf? Is there any theory out there that says that he was like an OG Misty Mountain dwarf of Moria? I know that other creatures can live in 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 uh in the mountains, obviously. And he's probably too tall, but maybe he's like a dwarf that has. Sorry, he'd be offended by that. He's a skin changer. I don't even know what that guy's skin changer is. We're wading into territory that I don't understand. I just offended everyone. Huh. Hmm. Interesting. So he lived on the mountains, not under the mountains. All right. 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 Let's keep reading. He's a big guy. How tall is he? I hope they give me his height. Bilbo and the dwarves had now plenty to think about, and they asked no more questions. They still had a long way to walk before them. Up slope and down dale they plodded. It grew very hot. Sometimes they rested under the trees, and then Bilbo felt so hungry that he would have eaten acorns if any had been ripe enough yet to fall on the ground. Has anybody tried eating an acorn? Not fun. Not good. Acorns are some bitter nuts. Not a great nut. It was the middle of the afternoon before they noticed that great patches of flowers had begun to spring up, all the same kinds, growing together as if they had been planted. Especially there was clover waving patches of coxcomb clover, and purple clover, and wide stretches of short, white, sweet, honey-smelling clover. There was a buzzing and a whirring and a droning in the air. Bees were busy everywhere, and such bees. Bobo had never seen anything like them. It's interesting that everyone has like a big clover movement in the States. They want to get rid of grasses and have your lawns be clover lawns. They're following the Lord of the Rings way. They're following the Hobbit. They're following Beorn. If one was to sting me, he thought, I should swell up as big again as I am. But they were bigger than hornets. The drones were bigger than your thumb, and a good deal. And the bands of yellow on their deep black bodies shone like fiery gold. We are getting near, said Gandalf. We are on the edge of his bee pastures. This dude's got to have so much honey if he has just pastures and pastures of bees. This guy is raking in the honey. Is there a company named Bayorn Honey? I feel like that would be okay. Like, don't give me Palantir. Give me like Bayorn's Honey. Like a honey company a honey company named Bayorn. That's someone who understands it. They do everything real natural. They just have fields and fields of clover and of a t-shirt. Hey, that's not a bad idea. Bayorn's Bakery would be the best bakery in the world. Oh my goodness. Little honey treats. Oh, I would be into that. Says yeah, which language does Bayorn mean bear? Is that like Nordic? Is that like Nordic languages? Or is this any languages? Like is this an older term for bear? Old Norse? Okay, interesting. Lucy anticipating the Beowulf character? Yeah, I gotta read Beowulf after we do this. Do The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion. It's gonna take us a few years to get there, but bear in Danish. Okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah, he kind of feels Vikingish right now a little bit. Like Vikingish mixed with a beekeeper. Were the Vikings beekeepers? What's the significance of honey? Bjorn in Swedish. Cool. That is really cool. Yeah, I'll definitely read Tolkien's translation of Beowulf. All right, let's keep reading. After a while, they came to a belt of tall and very ancient oaks, and beyond these to a high thorn edge, through which you could neither see nor scramble. You would better wait here, said the wizard to the dwarfs, and when I call or whistle, begin to come after me. You will see the way I go, but only in pairs, mind. About 5 minutes between each pair of you. Bomber is the fattest and will do for 2. That's mean. He had better come alone and last. Come on, Mr. Baggins. There's a gate somewhere around this way. And with that, he went off along the edge, taking the frightened hobbit with him. They soon came to a wooden gate, high and broad, beyond which they could see some gardens, and a cluster of low wooden buildings, some thatched and made of unshaped logs, barns, stables, sheds, and a long, low wooden house. Inside the southward side of the great hedge were rows and rows of hives, with bell-shaped tops made of straw. The noise of the giant bees flying to and fro and crawling in and out filled the air. The wizard and the hobbit pushed open the heavy creaking gate and went down a wide track toward the house. Some horses, very sleek and well-groomed, trotted up across the grass and looked at them intentionally, with very intelligent faces. Then, off they galloped to the buildings. They have gone to tell him of the arrival of strangers, said Gandalf. Interesting. Soon they reached a courtyard, 3 walls high. 3 walls of which were formed by the wooden house, and its 2 long wings. In the middle there was lying a great oak trunk with many lopped branches inside it. Standing near was a huge man with a thick black beard and hair, and great bare arms and legs with knotted muscles. He was clothed in a tunic of wool down to his knees, and he was leaning on a large axe. The horses were standing by him with their noses at his shoulder. Ugh, here they are, he said to the horses. They don't look dangerous. You can be off. He laughed a great rolling laugh, put down his axe, and came forward. What a guy! I want to be Beorn. He's my favorite guy so far. Just by his Just a quietly confident guy. He's like, oh, no. He's like a wizard, a hobbit, dwarves. No, they're no matter. He has bear arms and bear arms. Yeah, he's definitely a hermit. He definitely strikes me as a hermit too. Hmm. Yeah, kind of a hermit. It's like this is like the healthy version of a hermit. Like, I feel like the healthiest versions of the hermits have such a symbiotic and good relationship with nature and with animals. Like, those animals become higher forms. Like, Tom Bombadil had this. His animals were greater animals almost than any other animals. And, like, same thing with Beorn. Like, his animals just seem better. Yeah, an off-grid mountain man feels like it's kind of nailing it. Yeah. Who are you and what do you want? He asked gruffly, standing in front of them and towering tall above Gandalf. As for Bilbo, he could easily have trotted through his legs without ducking his head to miss the fringe of the man's brown tunic. I am Gandalf, said the wizard. Never heard of him, growled the man. Hmm. You think that's true? Is he bluffing or is that true? I feel like that's true. That he wouldn't have heard of. He wouldn't have heard of him. He doesn't care about that. Like Bombadil knows all. He's like a very different character from Bombadil. Bombadil knows all, but doesn't really get involved in Middle Earth. Beorn is a hobbit and doesn't, or wow, what did I just say? Beorn is a skin changer and does not care at all to get involved in the affairs of people, and is just he's a hermit. That's what I was meant. That's what I meant to say, not a hobbit. A hermit. Hmm. And what's this little fellow? He said, stooping down to frown at the hobbit with his bushy black eyebrows. That is Mr. Baggins, a hobbit of good family. An unimpeachable reputation, said Gandalf. Bilbo bowed. He had not to take off. He had no hat to take off, and was painfully conscious of his many missing buttons. I am a wizard, continued Gandalf. I have heard of you. If you have not heard of me, if you have not heard of me. But perhaps you have heard of my good cousin Radagast, who lives near the southern borders of Mirkwood. Yes, not a bad fellow as wizards go, I believe. I used to see him now and again, said Beorn. Well, now I know who you are, or who you say you are. What do you want? He knows Radagast. Interesting. To tell you the truth, we have lost our luggage and nearly lost our way. You know what's really interesting too? Within the Lord of the Rings, there is the real world that's happening with the ring. And then it's almost like there's a secondary world. Like the animal realm seems, I feel like this is an obvious fact in Middle Earth because it's like more real than not. But there is a group of creatures out there who are more in tune with nature than any other normal beings in Middle Earth, like even more than elves. Actually, maybe not elves. More than men, dwarves, and even hobbits. Like if you look at Ents, if you look at the Woses, if you look at Tom Bombadil, if you look at Beorn, they're like creatures that are like not worrying about the outside world, but they have like this in tune sense of nature, like Radagast being one of those. In tune sense with nature, they're like battling their own things and dealing with their own problems over there. They don't really get in the affairs of the world. Although the affairs of the world really matter to them, I'm sure. Honestly, hippies is a really good description for it. hmm. Radagast the Brown. Radagast the Bird Tamer. Hey, no Sarumans in chat. We respect Radagast here. And I feel like that's actually one of the things that makes Middle Earth feel calmer too. Even though there's all this stuff going on, you still know Tom Bombadil is doing his thing out there. You still know the Bjornings, the skin changers, are just doing their thing. Like, yes, the affairs of the world, the ring is going to matter to them. It's going to matter to Ents. Like, eventually, the Ent forest would probably get burned down if Sauron took control. But there's like a slow feel to it that they worry less. They have other things that they need to worry about. Hmm. Let me write this down real quick. Uh-oh. YouTube just crashed. One sec. And we're back. Yeah, sorry, sometimes it crashes for me. It's not really for anybody else. Yeah, it's just like I like these like creatures who are like outside of civilization almost. They seem like they have something to offer. Like deep wisdom to offer. Hmm. All right, here we go. Let's keep reading. To tell you the truth, we have lost our luggage and nearly lost our way, and are rather in need of help. Or at least of advice. I may say we have had a rather bad time with goblins in the mountains. Goblins, said the big man less gruffly. Oh ho, so you've been having trouble with them, have you? What did you go near them for? We did not mean to. They surprised us at night in a pass which we had to cross. We were coming out of the lands over west into these countries. It is a long tale. Then you had better come inside and tell me some of it, if it won't take all day. Said the man leading the way through the dark door, or through a dark door that opened out of the courtyard into the house. Following him, they found themselves in a wide hall with a fireplace in the middle. Though it was summer there, though it was summer there, though it was summer, there was a wood fire burning, and the smoke was rising to the blackened rafters in search of the way out through an opening in the roof. They passed through this dim hall, lit only by the fire and a hole above it, and came through another smaller door into a sort of veranda, propped on wooden posts made of single tree trunks. It faced south, and was still warm, and filled with the light of the westering sun, which slanted into it, and fell golden on the garden, full of flowers that came right up to the steps. Here they sat on wooden benches while Gandalf began his tale, and Bilbo swung his dangling legs and looked at the flowers in the garden, wondering what their names could be, as he had never seen half of them before. This is a fun indication too. Like Bilbo is caught in the affairs of the world. So okay, let me flesh this out for a second. That's actually a really interesting paragraph because like they're telling the tale. Obviously, Bilbo has been there. He knows the tale, so he doesn't need a retelling of it. But it kind of feels like hobbits are caught in between the affairs of people and between like the Woses ways. Between these like two brands of people that do not care. I don't want to say do not care because the Woses do care. I think Tom Bombadil still does care. I think Beorn does care. But they're kind of battling their own issues on their own turf rather than like the affairs of everyone in Middle Earth. Like the ring is of less significance to them. It's weird because those kind of beings are like very present minded, but they're also not like that in the future minded. They're like crazy in the future minded. They're like, hey, things are all going to work out eventually. So they just don't care and they worry about the present. And hobbits seem caught in between those two things. And so therefore, maybe that's the reason why hobbits are the best creatures to be able to take on the ring. As an architect, you really appreciate the descriptions of the structures. kind of love that too. Maybe because we don't see their internal difficulties. Yeah, that's true. That's a valid point. Hmm. I don't know. I gotta think about that one more. Let's keep reading. I was coming over the mountains with a friend or two, said the wizard. Or two. I can only see one. And a little one at that, said Beorn. Well, to tell you the truth, I did not like to bother you with a lot of us until I found out you were busy. Until I found out if you were busy. I will give a call if I may. Go on, call away. So Gandalf gave a long, shrill whistle. And presently Thorin and Dori came around the house by the garden path and stood bowing low before them. 1 or 3 you meant, I see, said Beorn. But these aren't hobbits, they are dwarves. Thorin Oakenshield at your service. Dori at your service, said the two dwarves, bowing again. Interesting that they brought Dori. Dori was one of the first to go. Yeah, that's like I like that point. They don't seek to dominate or influence the world. That's kind of what I'm maybe getting at. That's a great distinction, actually. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, just make me a hobbit. All I want to do, garden, drink, smoke weed. Not necessarily, but interesting. This tactic from the Tea Party. Was that whole thing planned? Hmm. Nothing that grew in the ground, asleep, had suddenly waked inside and was considering the same slow care. Interesting. Had given to its own inside affairs for endless years. Oh, great description. I might write an essay on that. Yeah, Gandalf is always planning. All right, let's keep reading. Um, I don't need your service, thank you, said Beorn, but I expect you need mine. I'm not over fond of dwarves. But if it is true you are Thorin, son of Thrain, son of Thor, I believe, and that your companion is respectable, and that you are enemies of goblins and are not up to any mischief in my lands, what are you? What are you up to anyway, by the way? They are on their way to visit the land of their fathers, away east beyond Mirkwood, put in Gandalf, and it is entirely by an accident that we are in your lands. We were crossing by the high pass that should have brought us to the road that lies to the south of your country, when we were attacked by the evil goblins, as I was telling you about, as I was about to tell you. It's interesting. He just says they're going to visit the land of their fathers away east beyond Mirkwood. Like, that's true, but also not. They're not really telling anybody about their mission, so it's smart. But I wonder if Beorn would have a problem hosting them if he knew that they were going to go wake up Smaug. Go on telling that, said Beorn, who is very near polite. Or who is never very polite, sorry. There was a terrible storm. The stone giants were out hurling rocks. And at the head of the pass, we took refuge in a cave. The Hobbit and I, and several of our companions. Do you call 2 several? Well, no, as a matter of fact, there were more than 2. Where are they? Killed, eaten, gone home? Well, no. They don't seem to have come when I whistled. Shy, I expect. You see, we're very much afraid that we are rather a lot for you to entertain. Go on, whistle again. I am in for a party, it seems, and 1 or 2 more won't make much difference, growled Beorn. Gandalf whistled again, but Nori and Ori were there almost before he had stopped. For if you remember, Gandalf had told them to come in pairs every 5 minutes. Hello, said Beorn. You came pretty quickly. Where were you hiding? Come on, my jack-in-the-boxes. Nori at your service. Ori at, they began, but Beorn interrupted. Thank you, when I want your help, I will ask for it. This is such a mountain man. I love this so much. Like, just get to the point. Thank you. When I want your help, I'll ask for it. Sit down and let's get on with this tale, or it will be supper time before it's ended. He has things to do. I love him. As soon as we were asleep, went on Gandalf, a crack At the back of the cave opened. Goblins came out and grabbed the hobbit and the dwarves and our troop of ponies. Troop of ponies? What were you, a traveling circus? Or were you carrying lots of goods? Or do you always call 6 a troop? Oh no, as a matter of fact, there were more than 6 ponies. For there were more than 6 of us. This is hilarious. And well, here are 2 more. Just at that moment, Balin and Dwalin appeared before and bowed so low that their beards swept the stone floor. The big man was frowning at first, but they did their best to be frightfully polite, and kept on nodding and bending and bowing and waving their hoods before their knees, in proper dwarf fashion, till he stopped frowning and burst into chuckling laughter, or into a chuckling laugh. They looked so comical. Troop was right, he said. A fine comic one. Come in, my merry men. And what are your names? I don't want your service now, only your names. And then sit down and stop wagging. Balin and Dwalin, they said, not daring to be offended, and sat on the floor, looking rather surprised. Now go on again, said Beorn to the wizard. Where was I? Oh, yes. I was not grabbed. I killed a goblin or 2 with a flash. Good, growled Beorn. It is some good being a wizard, then. And slipped inside the crack before it closed. I followed low into the main hall, which was crowded with goblins. A great goblin was there with 30 or 40 armed guards. I thought to myself, even if they were not at all chained together, what can a dozen do against so many? A dozen! That's the first time I've heard 8 called a dozen, or have you got more jacks that haven't yet come out of their boxes? Well, yes, there seem to be a couple more now. Feely and Keely, I believe, said Gandalf, as these 2 now appeared and stood smiling and bowing. That's enough, said Beorn. Sit down and be quiet. Now go on, Gandalf. So Gandalf went on with the tale until he came to the fight in the dark, the discovery of the lower gate, and their horror when they found out that Mr. Baggins had been mislaid. We counted ourselves and found out that there was no hobbit. We were only 14 of us left. 14! That's the first time I've heard 1 from 10 leave 14. You mean 9. Or else you haven't told me yet all the names of your party. Well, of course you haven't seen Owen and Glowin yet. And bless me, here they are. I hope you will forgive them for bothering you. Oh, let them all come. Hurry up. Come along, you 2, and sit down. But look here, Gandalf. Even now, we have only got yourself and 10 dwarves. And the hobbit that was lost, that only makes 11. Plus 1 mislaid and not 14. Unless wizards count different to other people. But now please get on with the tale. Beorn did not show it more than he could help it, but really, he had begun to get very interested. You see, in the old days, he had known the very part of the mountains that Gandalf was describing. He nodded and he growled when he heard of the hobbits' reappearance and of their scramble down the stone slide and of the wolf ring in the woods. When Gandalf came to their climbing in the trees with the wolves all underneath, he got up and strode about and muttered, I wish I had been there. I would have given them more than fireworks. Dang. This guy's like a legend. Yeah, I was thinking that, Jonas. It'd be so fun to read this as an adult to your kids. Like there's just so much levity and fun. It's a great read so far. 1 second, I have a lot left. I'm gonna go get some water because my voice is already gone. Give me a sec. All right, we're back. Oh no, I just spilled my water. Uh-oh. I just spilled my water all over Dune. Maybe that's a metaphor for something. Mm-hmm. And the Hobbit Baron is weirder, more mysterious than Gandalf. Honestly, he kind of is. He's honestly a little bit more interesting to me than even Tom Bombadil, because he's a bit more like tangible. Qwerty, what's up? Sam's uncle is mentioned to do balancing tricks. These are not the movie dwarves. Why would they be shy around a tall man who could change into a bear? Bayorin has autism. Honestly, yeah. I'm excited to listen to the Rob Ingalls one. Portia, yeah, you're never late. You arrive precisely when you mean to. Hmm. And it's funny, yeah, he can only cope with gradual changes, but at the same time, not necessarily. I think that was a mischaracterization of Gandalf. Maybe that was true. Maybe this is actually the way that they should do things. Um, the whole story is when you invite two friends to a flat party in Eastern Europe. Yeah, honestly, the same ploy to not overwhelm Bilbo, but it just worked differently. I always read that section as they just all were arriving at different times. Like Gandalf was like, everyone show up to the party at 7, and they just kind of all got there around that time, but not the same. Maybe that would be too much. Honestly, that's actually a really fascinating thing to look back at that now. Hmm. Yeah, he's kind of fine now. He's likes this story. He reminds me of so honestly, I would actually be very curious if this is where the character Hagrid comes from. Like this seems like a very very clear steal of a Hagrid character, but Hagrid's a bit warmer. Hagrid's like a different version of Beorn. And one thing about Hagrid that's true is that like he kind of loves a good story and like loves telling of a good story. Like he might act like he doesn't like it that much, but it's like Beorn like acts like he's like annoyed at the story, but really he's actually very interested in this. And that feels like a very Hagrid quality. This is like a wilder version of Hagrid. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. He's a different version of him, but I feel like there's some similarities there. All right, let's keep reading. That was annoying me. All right, where are we? Mhm. When Gandalf, here we go. Well, said Gandalf, very glad to see that his tale was making a good impression. I did the best I could. There we were, with the wolves going mad underneath us, and the forests beginning to blaze in places, when the goblins came down from the hills and discovered us. They yelled with delight and sang songs making fun of us. 15 birds and 5 fir trees. Good heavens, growled Bjorn. Don't pretend that goblins can't count. They can. 12 isn't 15 and they know it. And so do I. There were Biffer and Boffer as well, and I haven't ventured to introduce them before, but here they are. In came Biffer and Boffer and me. Grasped Bomber. Puffing behind, he was fat and also angry at being left till last. He refused to wait 5 minutes and followed immediately after the other two. Well, now there are 15 of you, and since goblins can count, I suppose that is all that there were up in the trees. Now perhaps we can finish the story without any more interruptions. Mr. Baggins saw then how clever Gandalf had been. The interruptions had really made Beorn more interested in the story. Interesting. And the story had kept him from sending the dwarves off at once, like suspicious beggars. Hmm. He had never invited people into his house, if he could help it. He had very few friends, and they lived a good way away. and he never invited more than a couple of these to his house at a time. Now he had got 15 strangers sitting in his porch. That's so funny because he's not looking at himself, but he should be looking at himself. Bilbo should be going, oh, this is what Gandalf did for me. That's funny. It's all right. Anybody who gets here late is never late because no one is ever late. There are people who come early, though. This approach would work on you. I don't know if it would on me. It's a smart idea. Just get the worst of it over for me and then tell me a story. I don't know. Yeah, but I think it did something. I think it messed with his mind in some way to like get the dwarves all in different orders. It almost like put him off guard. Like almost made him tap into his Tookish side a little bit more. I don't know. It definitely threw him for a loop. By the time the wizard had finished his tale and had told of the eagle's rescue and how they had all been brought to the Carrick, the sun had fallen behind the peak of the Misty Mountains, and the shadows were long in Beorn's garden. A very good tale, he said. The best I have heard for a long while. If all beggars could tell such good ones, they might find me kinder. You might be making it all up. Of course, but you deserve supper for the story all the same. Let's have something to eat. Yes, please, they all said together. Thank you very much. Inside the hall was now quite dark. Beorn clapped his hands and trotted four beautiful white ponies and several large, long-bodied gray dogs. Beorn said something to them in a queer language like animal noises turned into talk. They went out again and soon came back carrying torches in their mouths, which they lit at the fire and stuck in low brackets on the pillars of the halls about the central hearth. The dogs could stand on their hind legs when they wished, and carry things with their forefeet. Dang, this guy's a good dog trainer too. Quickly they got out boards and trestles from the sidewalk, and set them up near the fire. Then ba 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 was heard, and in came snow-white sheep led by a large, coal-black ram. One bore a white cloth embroidered at the edges with figures of animals. Others bore on their broad backs trays with bowls and platters and knives and wooden spoons. With the dogs, which the dogs took and quickly laid on the trestle tables. These were very low enough even for Bilbo to sit at comfortably. Beside them, a pony pushed two low-seated benches with wide rushed bottoms and a little short thick legs for Gandalf and Thorin. While at the far end, he put Beorn's big black chair of the same sort, in which he sat there with his great legs stuck far out under the table. These were all the chairs he had in his hall, and he probably had them low like tables for the convenience of the wonderful animals that waited on them. What did the rest sit on? They were not forgotten. No other ponies came in rolling round drum-shaped sections of logs, smooth and polished, and low enough even for Bilbo. So soon they were all seated at Beorn's table, and the hall had not seen such a gathering for many a year. Are the animals skin changers? It's honestly an interesting question. Hmm. Yeah, this chapter has a much different feel to it from any other chapter. I mean, the troll chapter was a little bit like lighter, but this one is like, oh, I'm in a different realm. This guy's talking to animals. But I do like how it's like a rare thing. Like, not everyone in Middle Earth can do this. This is like for skin changers. This is for Bjornings. Yeah, I feel like the animals are just animals. I would probably argue for that too. Wow, we still got a lot of this chapter left. It's a long chapter. Hmm. There they had a supper, or a dinner, such as they had not had since they had last left the homely house in the west and said goodbye to Elrond. The light of the torches in the fire flickered about them, and on the table were two tall red beeswax candles. All the time they ate, Beorn and his deep rolling voices told tales of the wild lands on his side of the mountains, and especially of the dark and dangerous wood that lay outstretched far to north and south, a day's ride before them, barring their way to the east in terrible forces of Mirkwood. The dwarves listened and shook their beards, for they knew that they must soon venture into that forest, and that after the mountains, it was the worst of perils that they had to pass before they came to the dragon's stronghold. When dinner was over, they began to tell tales of their own, but Beorn seemed to be growing drowsy and paid little heed to them. They spoke most of gold and silver and jewels and making of things by smithcraft, but Beorn did not appear to care for such things. There were no things of silver or gold in his hall, and few save the knives were made of metal at all. Interesting. They sat long at the table with their wooden drinking bowls filled with mead. The dark night came on outside. The fires, that's actually a really interesting idea, that he just does not care for these things. He's got his own worries, the animal kingdom to worry about. Hmm. The dark night came on outside. The fires in the middle of the hall were built with fresh logs, and the torches were put out. And still they sat in the light of the dancing flames, with the pillars of the house standing tall behind them, and dark at the top of the trees, and dark at the top like trees of the forest. Whether it was magic or not, it seemed to Bilbo that he heard a sound like wind in the branches stirring in the rafters, and the hoot of owls. Soon he began to nod with sleep, and the voices seemed to grow far away, until he woke with a start. The great door had creaked and slammed. Beorn was gone. The dwarves were sitting cross-legged on the floor around the fire, and presently they began to sing. Hmm. Interesting. Some of the verses were like this, but there were many more, and their singing went on for a while. The wind was on the withered heath, but in the forest stirred no leaf. Their shadows lay by night and day, and dark things silent crept beneath. The wind came down from mountains cold, and like a tide it roared and rolled. The branches groaned, the forest moaned, the leaves were laid upon the mold. The wind went on from west to east, all movement in the forest ceased, but shrill and harsh across the marsh, its whistling voices were released. The grasses hissed, their tassels bent, the reeds were rattling, on it went. Where a shaken pool under heaven's cool, where racing clouds were torn and rent. It passed the lonely mountain bare, it swept above the dragon's lair. The air black and dark lay boulder stark, and flying smoke was in the air. It left the world and took its flight over the wide seas of the night. And the moon set sail upon the gale, and stars were fanned to leaping light. Huh. Queer lodgings and a queer song. What does that mean? Bilbo began to nod again. Suddenly up stood Gandalf. It is time for us to sleep, he said. For us, but not, I think, for Beorn. In this hall we can rest safe and sound, but I warn you all not to forget what Beorn has said before he left us. You must not stray outside until the sun is up, on your peril. Bilbo found that beds had already been laid at the side of the hall. on a sort of raised platform between the pillars and the outer wall. For him, there was a little mattress of straw and woolen blankets. He snuggled into them very gladly. Summertime though it was. The fire burned low, and he fell asleep. Yet in the night he woke, and the fires had now sunk into a few embers. The dwarves and Gandalf were all asleep. To judge by their breathing, the splash of white on the floor came from the high moon, which was peering down through the smoke hole in the roof. There was a growling sound outside, and a noise of some great animal scuffling at the door. Bilbo wondered what it was, and whether it could be Beorn in enchanted shape, and if he would come in as a bear and kill them. He dived under the blankets and hid his head, and fell asleep again at last in spite of his fears. Dang. Honestly, Beorn could come in and just like murder them. Like, how much of his faculties, like, does he still have his awareness when he's a bear? He has different senses. The outhouses were outside, so they had to dodge Beorn as he was about to kill them just for using the bathrooms. He's still himself. Yeah, I feel like that's true. That's kind of like the mindset that I got. Yeah, maybe just a little angry or a little bit like the Hulk. Hmm. All right, let's keep reading. It was full morning when he awoke. One of the dwarfs had fallen over him in the shadow where he lay, and had rolled down with a bump from the platform onto the floor. It was Boffer, and he was grumbling about when Bilbo opened his eyes. "Get up, lazybones," he said, "or there will be no breakfast left for you." Up jumped Bilbo. "Breakfast!" he cried. "Where is breakfast?" "Mostly inside us," answered the other dwarfs, who were moving about the hall. "But what is left is out on the veranda. We've all been looking about for Beorn ever since the sun got up, but there is no sign of him anywhere, though we found breakfast laid up as soon as we went out." So that kind of makes it seem like maybe the animals are laying up breakfast, though. "Where is Gandalf?" asked Bilbo, moving off to find something to eat as quick as he could. "Oh, out and about somewhere," they told him. But he saw no sign of the wizard all that day until evening. Just before sunset, he walked into the hall, where the Hobbit and dwarves were having supper, waited on by Beorn's wonderful animals, as they had been all day. Of Beorn they had seen and heard nothing since the night before, and they were getting puzzled. "Where is our host? And where have you been all your day yourself?" they all cried. One question at a time, and none till after supper. I haven't had a bite since breakfast." At last, Gandalf pushed away his plate and jug. He had eaten 2 whole loaves, with masses of butter and honey and clotted cream, and drunken at least a quarter of and drunken at least a quart of mead, and he took out his pipe. "I will answer the second question first," he said, "but bless me, this is a splendid place for smoke rings." Indeed, for a long time they can get nothing more out of him. He was so busy sending smoke rings, dodging around the pillars of the halls, changing them to all sorts of different shapes and colors, and setting them at least chasing one another out of the holes in the roof. They must have looked very queer from outside, popping out into the air one after another, green, blue, red, silver, silver gray, yellow, white, big ones, little ones dodging through big ones, and joining into figure eights, and going off like a flock of birds into the distance. I've been picking out bear tracks," he said at last. "There must have been irregular bears meeting outside here some last night. I soon saw that Beorn could not have made them all. There were far too many of them, and they were of various sizes too. I should say there were little bears, large bears, ordinary bears, and gigantic big bears, all dancing outside from dark to nearly dawn. They came from almost every direction. This is like where the wild things are. This is like the crossover story. Bilbo just dancing with the bears. I see that in my mind now. They came from almost every direction except from the west over the river. From the mountains. Are all these skin changers then? Do you think all these are skin changers? Or are all these just natural bears? I feel like they're all just natural bears. He did say just regular bears, but maybe Gandalf is wrong about that. I don't know. How do you tell a natural bear from a skin changer bear? There's got to be some way. In that direction only, one set of footprints led. None coming, only ones going away from here. I followed these as far as the Carrick. There they disappeared into the river. But the water was too deep and strong beyond the rock for me to cross. It is easy enough, as you remember, to get from this bank to the Carrick by the ford. But on the other side is a cliff standing up from a swirling channel. I had to walk miles before I found a place where the river was wide and shallow enough for me to wade and swim. And then miles back again to pick up the tracks. By that time, it was too late for me to follow them far. They went straight off in the direction of the pine woods on the east side of the Misty Mountains, where we had our pleasant little party with the wargs the night before last. And now I think I have answered your first question too, and ended Gandalf. And he sat a long while silent. Bilbo thought he knew what the wizard meant. What shall we do? He cried. If he leads all the wargs and the goblins down here, we shall all be caught and killed. I thought you said he was not a friend of theirs. So I did. Don't be silly. You had better go to bed. Your wits are sleepy. The Hobbit felt quite crushed. And as there seemed nothing else to do, he did go to bed. And while the dwarves were still singing songs, he drooped asleep, still puzzling his little head about Bjorn, till he dreamed a dream of 100 black bears dancing slow, heavy dances round and round in the moonlight in the courtyard. Then he woke up, and everyone else was asleep. And he heard the same scrapping, scuffling, snuffling, and growling as before. This really is where the wild things are. This is great. Bjornings, not crocodilians. Okay. I saw 4 bear today. I forgot to say that. I went on a little walk with Wes this morning. I saw 4 black bear. I could not tell the difference. They are like actual bear or Bjornings. One was not that big. One was a small little juvenile. The rest were pretty big though. There was a group of 3 and then just one that I saw on my way back. And one of them was probably like within 30 yards. He was a tiny little thing. I probably could have taken him on a fight. I didn't want to fight him. The bears are dancing outside of Beornstorm like they did on Numenor? Huh? Black bears have been terrorizing Japan recently? Dang. Poor Japan. Hey, they have good World Cup chances though. I think they're the highest ranked Asian team. Next morning, they were all wakened by Beorn himself. So here you all are still, he said. That would be my reaction too. Why do I still have dwarves in my home? I've been away. I was hoping that you guys were going to be gone by the time I got back. He picked up the Hobbit and laughed. Not eaten up by wargs or goblins or wicked bears yet, I see. And he poked Mr. Baggins' waistcoat most disrespectfully. Little Bunny is getting nice and fat again on bread and honey, he chuckled. Come and have some more. So they all went to breakfast with him. Beorn was most jolly for a change. Indeed, he seemed to be in a splendidly good humor, and set them all laughing with his funny stories. Nor did they have to wonder long where he had been, or why he was so nice to them, for he told them himself. He had been over the river and right back into the mountains, from which you can guess that he could travel quickly in bear shape at any rate. From the burnt wolf glade, he had soon found out that part of their story was true, but he had found out more than that. He had caught a warg and a goblin wandering in the woods. From these he had got news. The goblin patrols were still hunting with wargs for the dwarves, and they were fiercely angry because of the death of their great goblin, and also because of the burning of the chief wolf's nose and the death from the wizard's fire of many of his chief servants. So much they told him when he forced them. But he guessed there was much more wickedness than this afoot, and that a great raid of the whole goblin army, with their wolf allies into the lands shadowed by the mountains, might soon be made to find the dwarves, or to take vengeance on the men and creatures that lived there, and who they thought must be sheltering them. It was a good story, that of yours, said Beorn, but I like it still now better than I am sure it is true. You must forgive my not taking your word. If you lived near the edge of Mirkwood, you would take the word of no one that you did not know as well as your brother or better. As it is, I can only say that I have hurried home as fast as I could to see that you were safe and to offer you any help that I can. I shall think more kindly of dwarves after this. Killed the great goblin, killed the great goblin, he chuckled fiercely to himself. What did you do with the goblin and the warg? Asked Bilbo suddenly. Come and see, said Beorn. And they followed round the house. A goblin's head was stuck outside the gate, and a warg skin was nailed to a tree just beyond. Dang! Beorn was a fierce enemy, but now he was their friend, and Gandalf thought it wise to tell them their whole story and the reason of their journey, so that they could get the most help he could offer. Interesting! This is cool. He's not, you can't really tame a dude like this. This guy is like intense. This is what he promised to do for them. He would provide ponies for each of them, and a horse for Gandalf, for their journeys to the forest, and he would lade them with food to last them for weeks with care, and pack so as to be as easy as possible to carry. Nuts, flowers, sealed jars of dried fruits, and red earthenware pots of honey, and twice-baked cakes that would keep good a long time. And on a little which they could march far. Interesting. Is this like almost like a precursor for Lembas? Twice-baked cakes that would keep good a long time, and on a little of which they could march far. This is like a little Cliff Bar. Honey is debatably vegan. Some vegans do it, some vegans don't. Interesting. A little precursor to Limbus here. I like this. I want to make this. The making of these was one for his secrets, but honey was in them, as in most of his foods, and they were good to eat, though they made one thirsty. Water, he said. They would not need to carry this side of the forest. There were many streams and springs along the road, but your way through Mirkwood is dark, dangerous, and difficult, he said. Water is not easy to find there, nor food. The time has not yet come for nuts, though it may be past and gone indeed before you get to the other side. And nuts are about all that grows there fit for food. And there the wild things are dark, queer, and savage. I will provide you with skins for carrying water, and I will give you some bows and arrows. But I doubt very much whether anything you find in Mirkwood will be wholesome to eat or drink. There is one stream there, I know, black and strong, which crosses the path, that you should neither drink of nor bathe in, for I have not heard that it carries enchantment, or for I have heard that it carries enchantment and a great drowsiness and forgetfulness. And in the dim shadow of that place, I don't think you will shoot anything wholesome or unwholesome without straying from the path. That you must not do for any reason. That is all the advice I can give you. Beyond the edge of the forest, I cannot help you much. You must depend on your luck and your courage and the food I send you with. At the gate of the forest, I must ask that you send back my horses and my ponies, but I wish you all speed. And my house is open to you if you ever come back this way again. Bjorn is the best. I love Bjorn. Yeah. What, like a little ominous tune right here. What's gonna go on? They're gonna wander off the path. They're probably gonna drink and bathe in that water, and they're gonna hunt off path with their bows and arrows. Come on. They thanked him, of course, with many bows and sweepings of their hoods, and with many at your service. At your service, O master of the wide wooden halls. But their spirits sank at his grave words, and they all felt that the adventure was far more dangerous than they had thought. While all the time, even if they passed all the perils of the road, the dragon was waiting at the end. All that morning they were busy with preparations. Soon after midday, they ate with the Bjornings for the last time, and after their meal, they mounted the steeds he was lending them, and bidding him many farewells, they rode off through his gate at a good pace. As soon as they had left his high hedges, at the east of his fence, lands, they turned north, and then bore to the northwest. By his advice, they were no longer making for the main forest road to the south of his land. They had followed the pass, and their path would have led them down for a stream from the mountains that joined a great river miles south of the Carrick. At that point, there was a deep ford, which they might have passed if they had still had their ponies. And beyond that, a track led to the skirts of the woods and to the entrance of the old forest road. But Beorn had warned them that way was now often used by the goblins, while the forest road itself, he had heard, was overgrown and disused at the eastern end and led to impassable marshes where the paths had long been lost. Its eastern openings had always been far from the south of the lonely mountains, and would have left them still with a long and difficult northward march when they got to the other side. North of the Carrick, the edge of the Mirkwood grew closer and to the borders of the great river. And through here the mountains drew down near. Bjorn advised them to take this way. For at a place a few days' ride due north of the Carrick was the gate of the little known pathway through the Mirkwood that led almost straight toward the lonely mountains. The goblins, Mayron had said, will not dare to cross the great river for 100 miles north of the Carrick, nor come near my house. It is well protected at night. But I should ride fast. For if they make their raid soon, they will cross the river to the south and scour all the edge of the forest so as to cut you off. And wargs run swifter than ponies. Still, you are safer going north, even though you seem to be going back nearer to their strongholds. For that is what they will least expect. And they have a long ride to catch you. Be off now as quick as you may. That is why they were now riding in silence, galloping wherever the ground was grassy and smooth, with the mountains dark on their left. And the distance the line of the river, and in the distance the line of the river with its many trees drawing ever closer. The sun had only just turned west when they started. Until evening, it lay golden on the land about them. It was difficult to think of pursuing goblins behind. And when they had put many miles between them and Beorn's house, they began to talk and to sing again, and to forget the dark forest path that lay in front. But in the evening, when the dusk came on, and the peaks of the mountains glowered against the sunset, they made a camp and set a guard. And most of them slept uneasily with dreams in which there came the howl of hunting wolves and the cries of goblins. Still, the next morning dawned bright and fair again. There was an autumn-like mist upon the white ground, white upon the ground, and the air was chill. But soon the sun rose red in the east, and the mists vanished. And while the shadows were still long, the sun rose red. The red sun rises. Blood has been spilled this night. It's probably not real, but maybe. Hmm. Is Beorn spilling some blood right now? So they rode now for 2 more days, and all the while they saw nothing save grass and flowers and birds and scattered trees, and occasionally small herds of red deer browsing or sitting at noon in the shade. Sometimes Bilbo saw the horns of the harts sticking up out of the long grass, and at first he thought they were the dead branches of trees. That third evening, they were so eager to press on, for Beorn had said that they should reach the forest gate early on the 4th day, that they rode still forward at dusk and into the night beneath the moon. As the light faded, Bilbo thought he saw, away to the right or to the left, a shadowy form of a great bear prowling along in the same direction. But if he dared to mention it to Gandalf, the wizard only said, "Hush, take no notice." Huh, fun. He's just hanging out and following them. Maybe, or maybe he sent another bear after them to follow them. Do I understand why this is one of your favorite chapters now? Lots of descriptions. It's just like a fun mythical chapter. Yeah, a little bear escort. Totally. Next day they started before dawn, though their night had been short. As soon as it was light, they could see the forest coming as it were to meet them, or waiting for them like a black and frowning wall before them. The land began to slope up and up, and it seemed to the hobbit that a silence began to draw in upon him. Birds began to sing less. There were no more deer. Not even rabbits were to be seen. By the afternoon they had reached the eaves of the Mirkwood, and were resting almost beneath the great overhanging boughs of its outer trees. There's a note that I want to talk about for the writing here for a second. There's something that it's really interesting that a lot of authors try to do when they first start a novel that Tolkien's doing really well in the opposite direction. But I think this is bad advice when people start novels and they just start with a lot of description. I don't think anybody should start a novel like that because I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I don't want to read a ton of descriptive paragraphs about what a character looks like or what they're, I'll figure that out as I go. Tolkien, this is the longest description that Tolkien has made of landscape so far. And it's like halfway through this book. And to me, it feels like he's doing this for the kids' sake of, like, it's aging up almost. Like, this book feels like it's like, hey, you've gone through a lot of adventure and a lot of fun stuff and a lot of comedy. Now I'm going to up the writing a little bit, and I want you to follow along with me. It's just gotten different for writing. It was like 2 pages of descriptors. And as like Lord of the Rings fan, this is like my favorite. I love his descriptors and like just his paragraphs on descriptions. But it's definitely like a transitional chapter, it feels like. Hmm. Yeah, he definitely uses these as transition points for sure. But still, that was that was the longest descriptor. Yeah, Coast exactly. Well, Their trunks were huge and gnarled, their branches twisted. Their leaves were dark and long. Ivy grew on them and trailed along the ground. Well, here's Mirkwood, said Gandalf, the greatest of the forests of the northern world. I hope you like the look of it. Now you must send back these excellent ponies you have borrowed. The dwarves were inclined to grumble at this, but the wizard told them they were fools. Beorn is not as far off as you seem to think. You had better keep your promises anyway, for he is a bad enemy. Mr. Braggon's eyes are sharper than yours. If you have not seen each night after dark a great bear going along with us or sitting far off in the moon, watching our camps, not only to guard you and to guide you, but to keep an eye on the ponies too. Beorn may be your friend, but he loves animals as his children. You do not guess what kindness he has shown you in letting dwarves ride them so far and so fast, nor what would happen to you if you tried to take them into the forest. Do you think that the dwarves really were thinking about taking them into the forest? I feel like they would. What about the horse then? Said Thorin. You don't mention sending that back. I don't, because I'm not sending it. What about your promise then? I will look after it. I am not sending the horse back. I am riding it. Then they knew that Gandalf was going to leave them at the very edge of the Mirkwood, and they were in despair. But nothing they could say would change his mind. Now, we had this all out before when we landed on the Carrick, he said. It is no use arguing. I have, as I told you, some pressing business away south, and I am already late through bothering with you people. We may meet again before all is over, and then again, of course, we may not. That depends on your luck and on your courage and sense. And I am sending Mr. Baggins with you. I have told you before that he is more about him than you guess, and you will find that out before long. So cheer up, Bilbo, and don't look so glum. Cheer up, Thorin and company. This is your expedition, after all. Think of the treasure at the end, and forget the forest and the dragon, at any rate until tomorrow morning. When tomorrow morning came, he still said the same. So now there was nothing left to do but fill the water skins at a clear spring they found close to the forest gate, and unpack the ponies. They distributed the packages as fairly as they could, though Bilbo thought his lot was wearisomely heavy, and did not like at all the idea of trudging for miles and miles with all that on his back. Don't you worry, said Thorin. It will get lighter all soon. Before long, I expect we shall soon wish our packs heavier when the food begins to run short. Then, at last, they said their goodbyes. Their goodbye to the ponies, and turned their heads for home. Off they trotted gaily, seeming very glad to put their tails toward the shadow of Mirkwood. As they went away, Bilbo could have sworn that a thing like a bear left the shadow of a tree and shambled off quickly after them. Now Gandalf too said farewell. Bilbo sat on the ground, feeling very unhappy and wishing he was beside the wizard on his tall horse. He had gone just inside the forest after breakfast, a very poor one, and it had seemed as dark in there as in the morning as at night, and very secret. A sort of watching and waiting feel, he said to himself. Goodbye, said Gandalf to Thorin, and goodbye to you all. Goodbye. Straight through the forest is your way now. Don't stray off the track. If you do, it is 1,000 to 1 you will never find it again, and never get out of Mirkwood. And then I don't suppose I or anyone else will ever see you again. Do we really have to go through, groaned the Hobbit. Yes, you do, said the wizard. If you ever want to get to the other side, you must either go through or give up your quest. Can they go around? They're at the northern edge. What's the problem with going around? Like, what would be in between the Grey Mountains and the Mirkwood Forest? Skirt the edges of the Mirkwood Forest and the Grey Mountains. Gundabad. Oh, interesting. Is that a far read and find out? It would take 3 months? No way. It's legitimately like, it would add like maybe a few days. If at Beorn's house, when they're going up north, that takes 3 days. It would take another 3 days to get to the north. And then it's just a straight shot across as probably like another 2 weeks and then they're pretty much at Erebor. They are pretty close to the northern edge. All right, let's read, because apparently there's an answer. I don't know if it's gonna be in this chapter, but we'll see. Yes, you do. If you want to get to the other side, you must either go through it or give up your quest. I am not going to allow you to go to back out now, Mr. Baggins. I am ashamed of you for thinking it. You have got to look after these dwarves for me. He laughed. No, no, said Bilbo. I didn't mean that. I meant, is there no way round? There you go. There is, if you get to go 200 miles or so out of your way north. 200 miles? It's not 200 miles. Gandalf. Gandalf's lying here. Unless the map is lying. And twice that south. But you wouldn't get a safe path even then. There are no safe paths in this part of the world. Remember that you were over the edge of the wild now, and in for all sorts of fun wherever you go. Before you can get round Mirkwood in the north, you would be right among the slopes of the Grey Mountains, and they are simply stiff with goblins, hobgoblins, and orcs of the worst description. There you go. Before you can get round it in the south, you would get into the land of the necromancer, and even you, Bilbo, won't need me to tell you tales of that black sorcerer. I advise you don't go anywhere near the place overlooked by his dark tower. Stick to the forest track. Keep your spirits up. Hope for the best. And with a tremendous slice of luck, you may come out one day and see the long marshes lying below you. And beyond them, high in the east, the lonely mountain where dear old Smaug lives. Though I hope he is not expecting you. Very comforting you are, to be sure, growled Thorin. Goodbye. If you won't come with us, you had better get off without any more talk. Goodbye, then. And really goodbye, said Gandalf. And he turned his horse and rode down into the west. He's going to the west. He could not resist the temptation to have the last word. Before he passed, quite out of hearing, he turned and put his hand to his mouth and called out. They heard his voice come faintly. Goodbye. Be good. Take care of yourselves. And don't leave the path. Then he galloped away and was soon lost to sight. Oh, goodbye and go away, grunted the dwarfs, all the more angry because they were really filled with dismay at losing him. Now began the most dangerous part of the journey. They each shouldered their heavy packs and their water skin, which was their share, and turned from the light that lay on the lands outside and plunged into the forest. Man, they're definitely not taking enough water. That is a long journey for the amount of water that they have. They need to be able to find water somewhere. They need a water filter to be able to turn that black stream into good, drinkable water. There's a lot of danger going on right now. That was a fun chapter. So some of you guys said that you had like insights onto Gandalf in that one. Yeah, I like that. Gandalf's a little petty. He needs to have the last word. Yeah, he needs to give him a life straw. Absolutely. I just keep looking at the map here. I guess the Old Forest Road is maybe what he's talking about to the south, or maybe are they taking the Old Forest Road? No, they're not taking the Old Forest Road. They were meaning to come the Old Forest Road, but they got dropped up by the Eagle Eries. Interesting. This is weird. The fun is just beginning. Excellent. Good. There's like a little mountain range in the middle of Mirkwood. That's kind of cool. I wonder what's there. Enchanted River, it says. Hmm. The Old Forest Road was part overrun by goblins and overgrown. Interesting. Okay. Remember the line that Gandalf never minded explaining his cleverness twice? Yeah, I do remember this chapter slightly. This is the spiders, right? Where things get really creepy, and then Bilbo like takes his head out because he climbs a tree or something like that, and like gets a breath of fresh air. It's a it's gonna be a dreadful chapter. It's gonna be fun though. But this is a good chapter. I enjoyed that chapter. It was long. My voice is shot, but it was a good chapter. Um, Lots of like theoretical stuff to think about. Like I want to talk about what Beorn, what the heck he even is. Oh, this is the departure of Gandalf that Tolkien referred to in Lord of the Rings, where the White Council goes to root out the Necromancer. And why that scene gets included in the Jackson Hobbit movies. Interesting. This is when he does that. He rides out west, so is he going? Oh, he's going back to Rivendell probably. That's so interesting. Oh, you're right, Wes. I have a lot of questions on this now. Um, my map says the Brownlands. Is that Radagast the Brown, or is that just like they're just called the Brownlands? Attila, I totally agree. I don't say he's not necessarily Hama or Baragond or even Imrahil, but he feels like a Gonberry Gon mixed with a Treebeard to me, mixed with Tom Bombadil. Full stats Atlas of Middle Earth. I have Days Atlas of Middle Earth up there, but that one's really controversial, right? I'll definitely get that though. I need a good Atlas of Middle Earth. The Brownlands are where the Entwise were last seen. Interesting. Hmm. Yeah, Beorn does seem like his own thing, but like just describing him like his personality wise. Oh yeah, very likable minor characters. Totally. He's up there with Hama for me. Like I would honestly, yeah, he's like I loved Emerhill. Emerhill was good. Between those mix, ooh, that is a tough ranking of all those characters actually. For secondary characters, he's definitely up there for me. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really tough one. I would not know how to rank those 5 secondary characters. Ooh, I wouldn't know how to rank that. That's actually really tough. Yeah. The little chatter box over there. Brownlands are retrofitted to the areas the Entwives were. Brownlands are the ruined gardens of the Entwives. Interesting. That's actually crazy. Is this the only time that Baron really comes up? That'd be a bummer. I want to know so much more about the Bjornings. Like that is a really interesting part of this world that I would love to explore. Like I feel like the people like that, we just aren't with them for that long. Like Treebeard, maybe Treebeard's the longest person that we're with in terms of a personality like that who doesn't bother necessarily in the affairs of people. But in this case, he does. Like I would have loved if Beorn made an appearance in one of the wars. Actually, he's dead by the Lord of the Rings. Would he have fought? Would he have fought? Radagast lives in Mirkwood? That's crazy. Oh, the quick duck 100% came from Baron's menagerie. Totally. That is a headcanon for me now. The quick duck he spent some time in the old forest with Tom. And then he flew east on a little migration and then hung out with Baron. and that's where he learned all his combat skills. And then Tom sets him back to Moria. Baron sets him back to Moria to go deal with the goblins in Moria. And that's exactly what he does. A quick stroke, quick duck, save Sam. That was a good chapter. I enjoyed that chapter. All right, I gotta stop looking at this map. The side characters of Tolkien are just interesting. I feel like I want to write an essay about that. Not necessarily the side characters, the ones that like just don't care so much about ring. Maybe they still care about the ring, but they just have their own things to worry about. They're so focused on the future, like the far, far future. They realize things will be okay, and so they just worry about the present. They just deal with their own present things in their own time. Wait until the Silmarillion. There's a lot of great animals in Lord of the Rings. Am I still using the map of Wilderland from The Hobbit? I don't know. I don't know what map I'm using. There's the best one is the one that Attila sent me. A few 30 times. Sent me that so many times. I've lost track, but I do have it right now. Finally. That's an interesting chapter. I gotta think about that chapter more with Bjorn. He's like such a good character. Such a fun side character. Just so wild, so untamable. It's almost like this is Tolkien's ideal man. Someone who's so in tune with nature. Who's wild, untamed. Feasts on honey and milk all day. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for the Unfinished Tales too. It's gonna be a while until we get there, but I'm pretty pumped for this. I'm guessing it's gonna be a long Silmarillion read. We'll see. Yeah, maybe not an ideal one. Yeah, but a very good one. He writes him with very, very high respect. So I like it. Yeah, Aragorn and Faramir. Yeah. Yes, but at the same time, no. I feel like there's an extra amount of weight that Tolkien has for characters like Gonbury Gon, or like a Treebeard, or like a Beorn or a Tom Bombadil. Like they're a little unexplainable, but these people. It's like Tolkien's ideal man is probably Faramir, I would say, and Aragorn, both of them. But his ideal being, if like you didn't have to worry about wars and all these other things, would probably be like a Beorn. This Tolkien knew how to write. He was a good writer. I don't know if you guys knew that, but he's pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for this film, really. It's gonna be good. Well, we're gonna get there pretty quicker than I thought, because we're halfway through the Hobbit right now. This like seems like almost like the dead halfway point. So it'll probably take us another 2-3 months, and then Silmarillion by fall. That should be the new moniker for the channel. Silmarillion by fall. Ring by spring, Silmarillion by fall. Go not to the first timers for takes. He will answer both yes and no. Totally. It's like all my essays now are like, I don't even know. It's fun to come up with theories, but I just didn't even know. Be home before Christmas? No chance. No chance we're gonna finish Silmarillion by Christmas. That's gonna take us years. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a good read. All right, guys, I'm gonna jump off. I'm gonna go take Wes for a walk, then watch some World Cup probably. Have a chill Saturday. I hope you guys have a good Saturday too. I hope that you guys hang out and enjoy and just, yeah, I hope it's a good Saturday. Have a good weekend too. Have a good Sunday. And I'll get some more essays coming out. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Yeah, I'll say hi to Wes for you from you guys. Don't worry. He says hi. He's very ready to go on a walk. He's looking. He's like peeking out of the door. His head is just behind the door right now. He's peeking out, and he just keeps looking at you with his eyes like this. He's just looking at me. I don't remember the eagle sign off. I already forgot what it was. I gotta refresh my memory on that one. May the wind carry you to the moon or something like that. Something strange like that. It was a good one. But all right, guys, have a good one. Everyone, you know what she's about to do right now. She's about to go necromancer. Later, guys.